the MTGP podcast. Today we have head coach of Double K Gym, co-owner and co-founder of the Muay Thai Grand Prix, former Muay Thai world champion Kieran Kedel. Alongside us are the two headliners for the hugely anticipated Muay Thai Grand Prix main fight at the famous O2 in London. We have Dan McGowan, will be facing off with America's Victor Saravia. Dan's in the studio with Kieran, and we also have Victor joining us via Skype.
Hey guys.
We're going to find out a bit more about the fighters, where they come from. But first of all, I'd like to begin with the Muay Thai Grand Prix founder, Kieran.
Okay.
You've been excited about the event on the 26th of March for several months now.
Yep.
Given that you're a big part of putting the fights together, can you give us a breakdown of what to look out for, who to look out for?
Well, obviously there's this fight. Basically there's a lot of things on the line. Victor over there's a big puncher. McGowan's very technical. America versus England. It's our first Lion fighter to come over as well. Signed fighter to come over to fight on Muay Thai Grand Prix. This is part of our deal that we've done with the president, Scott Kent.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to thank Scott and Christine over there for helping us make this match.
Yeah.
This itself, because of the clash of styles, the anticipation, two young guys as well, both full-time as well, professionals. I think this will be one of the fights of the night. Obviously, the other fights we got Jamie Whelan versus Paul Karpowitz. That's a huge fight.
Yeah.
Charlie Peters versus Tommy McCormack. Big domestic fights as well on the go. We've got a few internationals coming over as well. Annabelle Gully's fighting international. Michael Pham's fighting Matus. That's going to be a good fight. We've got a couple of youngsters, superstars coming through. Evan Jays, who's fought before.
Yeah.
He's fighting Tommy Green. And I've said before, 16 years old, but they're taking their fight camp serious. One went to Holland, one went to Thailand. Obviously, Evan trains with me. Yeah. There's a lot of history as well. So it's a huge card. A lot of action-packed fights. Even the undercard as well has got a lot of talent coming through.
Yeah.
So, I'm excited. When I made this match, which was one of our last matches to make, actually, we were excited about it.
Yeah.
And when I started watching Victor a bit more, watching some of his fights and speaking to Scott as well, I think it's going to be absolute fireworks from me off.
Can you share with us, on our European fan base, a bit about how you got into Muay Thai? A bit of background about your personal journey and how you eventually made your way to Lion Fight.
Well, I was originally doing amateur fightings, and I was just training really hard, and it all paid off, and I got my first fight with Anthony Castrejón, which he was knocking everyone out, so me and my coach decided to take that fight on, and we got the knockout in the third round. So yeah, it worked out for us, and then we got offered to fight Andy Singh, which is a WBC champion, and we ended up knocking him out in the third or fourth round, and then we got offered the contract. So everything worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
Victor, maybe you want to talk about your background of street fighting, like the Kimbo Slice version.
The way I got into Muay Thai was I was originally fighting in the streets or in the parks for money because I couldn't afford a real gym.
Was that boxing?
So I had a friend, excuse me?
Was that boxing?
Street fighting, it was a little bit of boxing.
Okay, yeah.
Kickboxing thing, yeah.
Whatever went.
I had a friend who was doing jiu-jitsu, and he told me he was training Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu, and they were charging him $8, and he asked me if I wanted to join, and I said, why not? I mean, it's $8 to go train. So I said, I couldn't afford that, so I went, I checked it out, and within a month I got my first smoker, and from then on it kept going. Yeah.
Okay, and how do you feel about coming to London? What are your thoughts about the UK?
It'll be an amazing experience to go in there and check out everything out, and I just want to see how the atmosphere is and enjoy the moment that I get to actually fly out to UK and fight their best. And yeah,
Have you been to Europe before?
never, first time.
Wow. Okay. And Dan, you're returning to the O2.
Yeah.
This will be your third visit now, and
Third.
fourth. You
Oh,
want
no, sorry, third. Yeah, sorry,
third? Yeah. It will be your third.
He's right. He's right.
So it's a familiar ground for you. You've won your past 2 fights there, the last 2 Muay Thai Grand Prix shows.
Yeah.
You'll be there again headlining this with Victor. So for our listeners, you have a strong fan base, but perhaps for the North American fan base, can you give a bit of insight into your fight career, how you got into fighting and what was your inspiration?
Yeah. I started off doing taekwondo when I was about 4, 5 years old.
Yeah.
Just as like 2 times a week, something like that. And then I was doing the competitions, but I was getting disqualified and stuff like that for doing full contact because it's like a semi-contact kind of sport.
Yeah.
So a few times I got disqualified and stuff like that. So I said to my dad, like, I want to do something a little bit more full contact because I'm getting told off all the time, blah blah blah. So then I went to a local kickboxing, Thai boxing gym, and then I've just fell in love with it ever since. And then I've had some really good coaches. Well, my main coach was Liam Robinson, the late Liam Robinson, and ever since my career went from like here to here, and I've obviously had Pan Petch as well, who's Thai champion.
Yeah.
I've been training with him since I was 11, 12 years old. So yeah, I just fell in love with it since, and I've been Thailand, and I made a good name really early on, I think, in Thailand and stuff like that. So yeah.
All right. So how important has traveling to Thailand been for you, and how has that affected your fighting style?
Yeah, it's probably been the main thing of my fight career going to Thailand because I've had some top fights over there. I learned a lot, like sparring, clinching with like the Thailand number 1, Lumpini number 1, Rajadamnern number 1. Yes, it's paid off, and I went there when I was really young. I had my first fight in Rajadamnern. I was just turned 15, and that was my first pro fight. So, and then confidence-wise, it really helped me because I was beating the Thais who had like 100 fights maybe, and I'd only had maybe 5 pro fights. So, confidence-wise, I think it put me onto another level in the UK at the time, and then I've just kind of got better and better, I think, since. Yeah, so it's been really important, and it's helped me out a lot.
Yeah. And Kieran, what are your thoughts about these 2 fighters?
Well, this is what, if you're a promoter, this is what it's about. Bringing over the best, and working with others. This was part of our partnership with Lion Fight. Apart from all the other stuff that we're bringing out later down the line with like TV deals and cross promotions and going into Europe, etc., etc. The main core of it was to try and get regular fights and big fights.
Yeah.
I asked Scott. We want an opponent for Dan. He recommended Victor. I had a look at him. I thought he's a powerful young guy. He's going to be exciting. I've met David a few times. You're an MC, David, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. He emceed on a show a few years ago in Los Angeles. You were involved with Muay Thai in America as well, weren't you?
Right, I did 2 shows for Muay Thai in America.
Yeah. So I was part of the commentary team as well of that. So so we sort of crossed paths as well. Never really had a long chat, but it was just a small world.
Yeah.
It made it more comfortable. But like I said, when I watched the videos of these 2, the 2 different styles, I love the fact that we're bringing over someone, that will come to fight Daniel, not just, fold.
Yeah.
I've seen, obviously, Victor's Facebook, he's predicting knockouts. Dan's predicting stoppages. So, for me, as a promoter, I'll just take a little step back and let the action flow.
Yeah. Well, Victor, what was your reaction when you found out that you were going to be fighting Dan? And, did that have an effect on your training and your preparation?
I've always wanted to take on big challenges, and I know he's the best fighter in my weight class, so it's definitely a good challenge for me. And my last fight I did not win, but I thought I won, but it definitely put on fire again that I felt that I lost during training camp. So it definitely gives me the fire to train more and push myself and fight a lot smarter. So yeah.
Yeah, and then your reaction when you found out you were fighting Victor.
Yes, I wasn't shocked, obviously, because I'm part of Team Chew and Phil was part of the Muay Thai Grand Prix promotion, stuff like that. And obviously the link with Lion Fight. I knew that the fight with Victor was always going to happen, whether it be in America or in England. So I wasn't shocked, and I fought on the same card as Victor in America before.
Okay.
And a few people were mentioning his name before I even got mentioned to fight him. So I knew at one point that we would end up crossing paths, and yes, I wasn't shocked, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a good challenge, and I just want the top fights. I want the best fights. That's all I do it for. That's all I do it for. That's why I'm passionate. I want the big fights, and I want to win the big fights.
Well, there's some good guys in your division with Lion Fight as well. Obviously, Romy that you've lost to before.
Yeah.
I know you want that rematch. And of course, there's the guy that Victor lost to as well, who is also very good. So there's four really good, off the top of my head, I can think of that are really good. And I can see Dan that the winner of you two will probably qualify for a world title shot.
Yeah. So
that's a little extra incentive for you both. Whether it will be in England or over in America, that's to be discussed.
Yeah.
But the winner of this two, I can guarantee, will be in line for a world title shot down, in the next few months. Mm-hmm. So it's an extra bit of fire in your belly for you both. And I know Dan wants the rematch with Romy. I know Victor will probably want his rematch, no doubt, with John's. Is it John?
John Nofer.
John Nofer, yeah, I can always pronounce his surname. So there's a few guys in the mix. No doubt you'll all probably cross paths at some point. But to dangle the world title in front of all four of you, and this fight is the start of a series, then, we're proud to announce that.
Yep. Well, one thing that did particularly well at the last show was the four-man tournament.
Yep.
Where Charlie Peters won that, and that earned him a right to go to the States and fight Fabio Pinca.
That's right,
which, he lost that fight.
Yeah.
But we're repeating that again this time, right? There will be, can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, there's a four-man K1 tournament this time. Mm-hmm. We were, don't get me wrong, we always do four-man tournaments. We were looking more for a Muay Thai division. We had all the different weight classes. We sat around the table, me, Phil and Simon, and we didn't struggle, but we had like 2 or 3 good names. Then one would pull out and we're trying to get a four-man. Then we had a good four-man, and then 2 would pull out. It's just how it was.
Yeah.
So I come up with four good, strong K1 guys, 72 kilos, and always with four-mans, like with Charlie's four-man. Mm-hmm. There's always shocks. There's always surprises. It's very hard to predict.
Yeah.
I like it from my side. If you're a fan, you've got to enjoy it because you always get behind a certain fighter and I want this guy to win.
Yeah.
As a coach, it's good for working on tactics because obviously the draw from the hat comes the night before, so we have to literally 24 hours to work on something, and get into the mindset. And of course, if he wins the fight, if he's got injuries, we've got to think about the final and how to approach the final. So there's a lot of things that are thrown into a pot of a four-man. Of course, there's £2,000 online as well, which is nice. But I love a four-man. But for a fighter, it's one of the hardest things. Tournaments, whether it's a four-man or an eight-man, is some of the hardest mental and physical things a fighter can go through.
Yeah. Well, Dan, what are your thoughts on a four-man tournament?
Me personally, I'd rather fight just a 5-round fight against a good opponent.
Yeah.
But they're exciting. They're always exciting because you never know what's going to happen in the tournament. So maybe if there's a favourite against like an underdog, the underdog's always got that chance of winning because obviously they've had more fights like earlier on in the night, so they might be injured, whatever. So yeah, they're always exciting, and the fighters always come for 3 rounds. They always come to fight usually. So
I've got an idea. A four-man: Romy, Dan, John, and Victor.
Yeah,
it's a four-man right there.
Well,
I
quickly,
didn't even think about that one.
Well, Victor,
I love it.
Victor, what are your thoughts on the four-man system?
I wouldn't mind it. I mean, you get to fight 4 different people in one night, so it definitely gives you a different challenge. So
two.
You fight 2 people.
You're still thinking of the street fighting days.
All right. So Victor, can you give us your predictions for this fight, and along with that, perhaps some of your game plan?
I definitely don't want to go to his hometown and leave it up to the judges because I've seen videos where I see the other guy win and they still give it to Dan.
No, that won't happen here. That won't happen on my show. It don't happen on my show, trust me. We have independent judges.
So I definitely have to go in there and win by knockout or win really decisively and let them know that I'm there to win, you know. Mm-hmm. And if I know if I'm slacking in each round or any round, then I know I'm not gonna win that fight. So I gotta go with the mentality to win by knockout or win decisively.
Yeah. So I guess as a visiting opponent, you feel like you need to do a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan, what about you? What's your game plan coming into this, and what are your predictions?
I predict a win. That's all. Whether it be stoppage, points, I think I can beat him anyway. To be honest, I know he's going to come to knockout. That's his style. But the judges are always fair. I don't know which one he was watching where it weren't. But they are all in England. They're always fair. They are. But if it goes to points, I think I'll win. I think I can win by knockout as well. I've been adding a lot to my game, which I probably lacked in the past. Yeah. So I'm confident anyway. Anyway, I'll win. To be honest, and I ain't got a game plan. I usually go in round 1, and I think I'm all rounded enough to work the fight out round by round. So
old school.
Yeah. So no game plan. I'm just going to work to my the best of my abilities, and I think I'm confident that I'll take the win from that.
What changed in your game, or what effect did it have by joining Team Chew, Philip and that team there?
They're kind of similar to what I was before, but they maybe add a few little tricks on it. They like their tricks and stuff like that, which is good because I was more standard basic type Muay Thai, which was always effective, but it's good for the fans to see the extra little tricks and stuff like that. All round I think mainly the tricks I'd say is the main thing. That's about it. I've kind of fitted in well, and I think
It's quite a lot of you've got a few guys your weight there as well, haven't you? Which is handy.
That's the main thing is I've got like some of the UK's number ones at the weight above and the weight above that as well. So we've got
Matthew and
Jose. So we've got two good lads, and then we've got even younger lads that like Evans, Evan Jays. Yeah, we've got Evan. Then we've got people heavier in the rankings in the UK. So we've got a strong team behind me, and working in the clinch, sparring, everything's really good. Top notch sparring, I'd say, really good. So it sharpens me up, like because we do sparring 2-3 times a week. So I'm always sharp, and that's all I've been working on. Is just getting sharper and sharper, and I think that's what wins me fights is being sharp. So getting sharper is it's a bonus.
Okay. And Victor, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Beating everyone in my division, and then hopefully go down to 130 and 135 and win championship belts in those weight classes. Okay.
And for you, Dan, what's the long-term goal?
Long term, I want to beat the Thai champions. That's always been my goal from day one. Beating the Lumpini champions. I know that I've got it in me to do it, and I've put in so much dedication throughout the years, and everything's just a stepping stone. And I know one day that I'll get the chance and I'll do it. So beating the Thai champions, not necessarily for a belt. To be honest, the belts ain't the thing that I'm really worried about right now. It's the fighters, the opponents. I want the top opponents, and I want the top wins on my record, and that's what I'm going to go for.
Okay.
Can I ask a question to Victor?
Yeah.
So Victor, what's your training regime at the moment?
I train in the morning twice a day.
Yeah.
And adding the runs and the strength training. So it's the runnings would be a lot different than what I did before. My strength training is a lot different than what I did before. So yeah, it's different and it's more intense than before.
Where exactly are you based?
In North Hollywood.
North Hollywood. Okay.
Yeah.
So you got obviously all the, you've got the good weather all year round as well. So you go running outside as well, do you? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. Have you got a lot of sparring partners there as well?
Yes, a lot.
That's good. Yeah, because you've had a lot of in North Hollywood. You had a lot of ex-Thai champions and retired Thai fighters over the last sort of 10, 15 years. I've noticed teaching and training in Hollywood. Yeah. Is that right, David?
That's correct. Yeah. Well, my partner is Santi Sakunkai. He's also one of the trainers here. So he's former Bangkok Lumpini. He wasn't a champion, but because he stopped at 21 when he made enough money from the Yamaha tournament to go to college. So he chose college instead.
No.
But he's 100 fights under his belt, and so we bring a lot of different experience here at this gym.
Yeah, it's good. I've noticed in America, especially over the last few years, booming, especially with Lion Fight as well and TV deals, even then going into sort of kickboxing as well, seems to get more and more coverage. So it's only going to get better and better and better. 10, 15 years ago, I couldn't even name an American fighter. I've got to be honest with you. Maybe, Dennis Alexio, but mind you, he's Hawaiian, isn't he? But, there'd be a few others I could probably name if I thought about it. But, now...
Those are kickboxers.
Yeah, kickboxers, but there's no Thai boxers. I couldn't think of one. I'm just trying to think of a fighter, but I couldn't even think of one. But now I can name like 10, 15, 20 fighters. It's getting better.
Yeah. We're excited about this fight. And also because, Dan has a big fan base here in America, too. I mean, Dan fought Romeo Danza, which was one of our, one of America's best, one of the most experienced at the last Lion Fight show. And he was putting on a clinic against Romy, and unfortunately Dan got stopped because he got cut in the lip. But there's a lot of fans. Everybody knows Dan because of that fight, and so we think that this fight, the two of them together. I mean, I can guarantee you the fans are going to win. Fans will win watching this fight.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a great thing.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh well, how do you personally, David, see the evolution of Muay Thai in the past 5 years, in particular? Versus perhaps kickboxing, and what are your thoughts on that?
Well, Muay Thai in America before in the past, they were trying to do pay-per-view type of fights. It's very hard for American fans to embrace Muay Thai, shelling out $30 or $40 to watch a pay-per-view event. And now we have Lion Fight it's on free TV, but it's on cable TV, but it's still free TV. Mm-hmm. And we have other organizations showing fights on TV where you don't have to pay, you don't have to take a gamble to watch. We're building much more fans that way. And the next thing is seeing top quality fights. I mean, we've had 3 fights that you've seen on TV and there were local shows, and the quality wasn't really quite there. I mean, you see a clinch and it's like 2 people slow dancing, And now we see top quality fighters together, and then fans really get to see great stand-up. And, in an MMA fight, when people go to the ground, sometimes they just boo and they say they stand them up. They want to see great stand-up. Muay Thai is the greatest stand-up sport there is in the world. I think these two are going to put on such a fantastic show. We're going to grow fans that way.
Yeah. Well, Kieran, since we last had Scott Kent, the Lion Fight CEO, on the podcast, I know you guys have been talking about working together.
Yep.
Perhaps can you share any updates on that?
We are this close to getting a TV deal. Mm-hmm. This close. So we've all got different roles. Me, Simon, and Phil. Phil does a lot of the matchmaking. Obviously, I help us with that as well, with my own gym. Simon does a lot of the sort of work around and does all the booking of flights and etc. and hotels and the stuff that you don't see. And then I work a lot with Scott. I'm working on a deal. Mm-hmm. One part of our deal is getting it on television. The UK is a nightmare. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, I was involved in Infusion.
Yeah.
And we managed to get it on Box Nation. It was a one-off deal. It's actually come back on Box Nation. Yeah. And that was the first of its kind in the UK. Yeah. But now to get Muay Thai onto UK TV was really, really hard.
Yeah.
I had loads of, I won't lie, I had loads of knockbacks. I tried every sort of channel possible. But I'm this close. I can't obviously announce anything till, it's been signed.
Mm-hmm.
But we're really, really close. And hopefully I'm hoping the next few days it will get signed.
Yeah.
With a possibility of the March show going live.
Okay.
There's no guarantee. Otherwise it would be the June show. But once that gets signed, they'll also have, we hope, the access to all of Lion Fight's history as well.
Yeah.
So they'll be showing all the Lion Fights, our past 2 Muay Thai Grand Prix shows,
Yeah.
building up to live events.
Yeah. Because I saw that, you can get Glory now on the UFC Fight Pass.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the UFC Fight Pass, and obviously it was on ESPN, one of their channels.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good, I'm a fan of kickboxing, K1, Glory, you name it, as well as Muay Thai. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
So the more exposure, the better. But if this TV deal comes through, I think it'd be for UK and for the long term for us, for sponsorships and getting the fighters sponsors as well.
Yeah.
This is big for us.
Yeah.
The other big news is we're trying to work on is we've got a good few deals in place with European countries wanting to take the Muay Thai Grand Prix brand and the Lion Fight brand. So we're working together with Lion Fight to expand into Europe. As you saw, Australia are also doing a 4-man qualifier. The winner of the 4-man is going to go over to America. I think it's the 140-pound division.
Yes.
So I think to fight, the winner fights Gaston Bolanos, who obviously we're going to bring over later on this year also. So yeah, there's lots of things like this going on. A lot of it, I hate being one of those people, I can't tell you. But it's just because when it comes to media and signing contracts, I don't want to announce anything and it doesn't get signed and it's egg on my face. But that's where we're getting at the moment. So exciting times.
All right. So I guess as a final note, Victor, perhaps any words or comments to Dan, pre-fight?
Just gonna make him pay for calling me a stepping stone. That's all.
And Dan, any words for Victor before the fight?
Just mentally, physically prepare yourself because this isn't America, and when you hear the fans, it's going to be totally different to what I think you've ever seen and ever experienced. And I don't think he's ever faced an opponent like me. So just prepare, and that's all. Yeah.
Great. Okay, where can the listeners and viewers find out more about the fighters, get tickets, and find out more about?
Well, obviously, our main website links to everything, which is muaythaigp.com. Also, lionfight.com as well as all the links, which obviously share all media and data together. You can get tickets on access.com, and of course, more importantly, any of the fighters on the card, they should have tickets. Should have.
Yeah.
And, I've got to be honest with you, it's and I'm not just saying it either. Every show, we do more and more tickets, and what we do is we design now the layout of every show to get in more fans, but in a way where everyone gets quality viewing.
Yeah.
So now we designed a VIP table. All of the VIP tables are gone. They were one of our first sales, and to be honest with you, they're not cheap. They're dear, but we're obviously giving them quality. We're bringing over fighters from America. We're bringing over fighters from France, Italy, Greece, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
But people are paying for it.
Yeah.
So it just shows the quality of our show.
Mm-hmm.
And what you get as well. We don't just put 1 or 2 big fights on. We put a lot on.
Stack the card up, yeah.
Absolutely. We've got a lot of youngsters on the undercard that are coming through. That are going to be the next generation superstar. I mean, mind you, Dan's only young as well. Victor, how old are you, Victor?
I'm 22.
Yeah, so how young they are. There's a couple of guys on the undercard at 16, 17, 18 as well, and we're going to start hearing about them.
Yes.
It's not as sad in any way at all. But the old generation of fighters now, they're sort of moving along now, and the new generation of fighters who are getting on these shows now, and they're starting to make a name for themselves. Now we're going to start hearing about them. But it's only a matter of time, with us and a few other big shows that everyone's going to. That'll be the next superstar. This will be the next name. So, no, it's good. It's good.
All right. And Victor, if we want to follow you on Facebook and Twitter, how can we do that?
I only have Facebook
Okay.
right now. I don't have Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah.
So just type in Victor Saravia and you'll see me on Facebook.
All right. And Dan, for you?
Twitter and Instagram, it's at Dan McGowan MT, and then Facebook, I've got a fan page, just Daniel McGowan. That's all. Yeah, it's
Okay.
an athlete page, so people like that, and kind of they'll see what's going on in my career and see what's going on before the fight, after the fight, and stuff like that. So yeah, if anyone,
All right.
yeah, follow me on that.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much. So that's the Muay Thai Grand Prix on the 26th of March. The biggest event so far. And we got Dan and Victor headlining it and, following this conversation. Really excited about that.
Absolutely. I cannot wait.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for calling in. And we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, take care, guys.